Hit the button.
Pull the lever.
Wrong lever.
Wrong lever. We're Unready as always. Welcome everybody to the Unready Room. I'm Dan Gunther. With me, of course, are the amazing Barry DeFord and Brandi Jackola. Barry, there we go. How's it going?
Hey guys.
I'm down here now. Hi. Hello.
Okay. Wow. I don't know where we all are. Hey, Brandi, how's it going?
Or do I go? Wait, no. I have to go this way for Dan.
There you go.
And I have to go this way for Brandi. Okay. My camera I think flips or something.
I go up here for Dan and over here for Barry. So
there, we're Brady bunching it. Brady bunching it good, folks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh man. I think we just outed ourselves as a bunch of patocks on this.
The best kind of patocks.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh man. I wonder if there's like a band on Kronos called The Best Kind of Patocks.
I hope so now. I want that.
Awesome. Well, welcome everybody to the Unready Room. As you can tell, we are absolutely living up to our name. Or actually positively unready, as it has been rechristened thanks to Barry in that first episode we did this season. You'll notice the thumbnails all now say positively unready. I think that's beautiful branding, and thank you, Barry. That's awesome. And of course, the reason for that, for those of you who may or may not know, this is doubling as our Positively Trek feed as well. So you have the option, if you're listening to this on the Positively Trek audio feed, you do have the option of joining us live on Saturdays at noon Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, to discuss the week's latest Star Trek episode. So for those of you who are live with us right now, thank you so much for joining us. How you doing? Awesome. All right.
I was listening for a response.
I was like, wait, they're not audio comments. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, today we are talking about the Starfleet Academy episode, season 1, episode 4, Vox in Excelso, written by Gaia Violo and Eric Anthony Glover, directed by Doug Arniakowski, and that, of course, came out on January 29th. So, first of all, we got our Jaden Krog episode. I'm so happy because I've been so curious about this guy from the beginning.
Absolutely. And I feel like we're going to keep doing this with each of our kids. And I'm really excited to see what's about Genesis. I really am very interested in her, and I want to know more about her backstory. So yeah, it seems like we're going to do a little character profile on every single one of these kids that we've been introduced to, and I am here for it.
Yeah, I'm excited that we're getting kind of a semi reimagining of the Klingons again. Looks like the burn really hit them hard, and I appreciate that kind of getting carried into Aiden's story. And yeah, no, I'm quite excited to see the Klingons get sort of a light semi reimagining, I guess, or at least a new context for them. And I think the way it was presented overall was really, really interesting. And obviously we're going to get into more of that later.
Yeah. Well, that was definitely something that during the last 3 seasons of Discovery, people were kind of wondering, like, what of the Klingons? What's going on with them? We don't know, don't hear about them. I think there's a map in one episode where there's some mention of something Klingon in some part, but it doesn't really give any details. Obviously, whether they had this in mind at the time when they were doing Discovery, or if, out of universe, let's say maybe they just kind of steered clear of the Klingons because of, certain things they had done with the Klingons that people didn't respond to well or whatever in the past. Maybe they just kind of wanted to stay away from that. If that's the case, that has served this story well, because it really is it's a shock. It's a surprise to the audience what has happened to the Klingons. And like you said, Barry, I like how they introduced that into this story. They kind of they hint at it at the beginning. They kind of mention refugee ships, and it would have been nice to see Kronos or something, and you're kind of perking up going like, what what happened, and
Mhm.
the episode pays that off really well, I think.
Yeah, you
It
lose
does.
Romulus and you lose Kronos now, right?
Yeah.
I wanna know. I wanna know what happened to Kronos. I want to know how that came about because, I mean, in Star Trek 6, we've got the Klingons basically having 50 years of life left to their empire, and
Mhm.
then kind of allying themselves with the Federation, and then it all goes horribly wrong, and I want to know how. I want to know how it happened, and maybe someday, maybe this series can give us that information at
Mhm.
some point, because it feels like they're going back to some things that we kinda just forgot about and are just bringing them up again and giving us closure, maybe?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the brilliant things too about setting it in this new time period as well,
Mhm.
because it gives you the chance to really play around with things, like the whole thing with Romulus and Vulcan, coming together, and Vulcan is now Navarre. Like, that's cool. That's neat that they've played with the status quo. They're not afraid to kind of steer away from just being beholden to what we've always known. They're like, hey, this is almost 1,000 years later. What can we do different? And I mean, there's a possibility of going too far that way, but I don't think that's happened. I think this is really interesting. It's kind of, they've gamed out, how is this universe evolved? What's happened? What would be interesting story wise to deal with at this time? And yeah, the Klingons, brilliant. I love it.
I had a it's not a hang up. Maybe it's just like a point of clarity. And I would defer to the two of you, perhaps, to tell me if I'm correct or not. But in previous iterations of the Klingons, their forehead patterns were familial, were they not? And in
Mhm.
this case, I'm noticing that they just go any direction. They're then from family member to family member, completely different forehead pattern. Am I wrong there, or was that actually something I remember?
That was, I think, the TNG DS9 era hewed to that quite a
Yeah.
bit. I don't know beyond that. Um, yeah, it was pretty consistent usually that way. Asking for consistency in Klingon looks generally, I think, is kind of a whatever.
What do you mean? They've
Um,
been the same the whole time. No difference.
no,
Nothing.
I don't see any different. Yeah. But also, like, we could kind of, if you have to kind of be in that mindset and be beholden to that, like, family can mean many different things, right? Like, you know, maybe they're not blood brothers, maybe they're not, maybe Jaden was a refugee and was taken in by this family. Who knows, right? So it definitely didn't bother me. I can't even say I really noticed it, but I'm gonna definitely, on rewatch, take a look at the different patterns. Because yeah, Jaden almost has like the House of Moog looking ones. Like, he kind of has very Worf-like ones, which is
Yeah.
something I noticed right away too. So interesting.
Yeah, well, and the interesting thing is too is that there are 2 other adult males. One, his dad. Who's
Mhm.
the other one? Is that another dad?
Yep,
Are
that's what
they
he said.
Yeah, they're half brothers. So, of
Mhm.
course, not everybody's gonna look alike.
Mhm.
That's true
Yeah, that's
too.
fair.
Yeah, it's a completely different family structure. I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Right,
it's the
right.
the
Yay for
Klingon
2
triad.
dads. Way to go.
That's pretty cool.
Keeping the keeping the family alive by
Oh,
procreating.
now I want to watch the Klingon version of My Two Dads. Also, Wellington had a very good comment here. The TOS Klingon forehead ridges are consistent.
They are
Yes, they
very
are.
consistent. The most of them all, I would actually
Yeah,
say.
'cause
Yeah.
there are none.
Yeah.
There are
Exactly. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, they're very, very similar across. Yeah.
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 I like that. Jaden's two dads, his other played by Paul Reiser. Very nice, Dave. Thank you.
Yes. Precisely.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh man. Um, so I guess, yeah, let's jump into the actual story of what's going on. We've got the first official flight of the Athena, which is kind of neat. We get only the Academy kids. We kind of get separated out from the War College kids, so we put that on hold. We've got the ship out by itself. The title card at the beginning with the CBS Studios was in Klingon and then morphed into English characters. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes.
And instead of a captain's log, we get the Chancellor's address, which I thought was nice, like a little kind of daily affirmation, kind of very similar to, I mean, Barry, you and I have spent much of our careers in schools, like principals' announcements at the start of the day and stuff. And that's kind of cool.
I wish I had Stephen Colbert's mellifluous tones just floating through the hallways of my school all the time, though. That would be nice.
Yeah. Can we turn our GPS stuff to his voice? Because that's great.
That should be a choice,
right?
Absolutely.
I would also like him to wake me up in the morning. I would like his voice to wake me up in the morning. That would be really nice. Because it's just he can just do it so gently.
I for a minute I just had this image of like Stephen Colbert like patting into your room and just like shaking your shoulder slightly, like, hey,
that's actually
Randy.
Yeah, actually, it would be best if he did not touch me. That would freak me out. It would startle me awake. So
you could
just
have like a little squirt gun or something.
Yeah, no, even worse. Just lean down over me, Brandi.
Ooh, no,
it's time to get up, Brandi. Come on,
see, now,
you can do it.
I picture him very quietly bringing in the band from The Late Show. And just like,
yes, if you want to kill me by heart attack, sure, do that.
Yeah.
Please don't. No.
You'd be freaked out for a few seconds, but then I think you'd be pretty pleased after that.
I don't think you know how loud drums are up close and horns. It's
Fair.
really a lot.
Fair. Okay, so we've got debate going on at Starfleet Academy. We have the Aaron Satie quote that the Doctor gives at the start, which I have to say, sadly, they weirdly mess up. He leaves out a word and it doesn't make sense, and it drives me a little bit nuts. So shame on them. I should have had it in front of me. But the last part of he lists all the things and then chains us all irrevocably. He leaves out the word chains. It's bizarre. He says the first speech censured, the first whatever, us all irrevocably. I'm like, you left out the key word there.
I thought I heard it, but maybe I was like mouthing along the quote. So I don't know.
So and that's what happened to me as I was going along with the quote. And I was like, wow. But I don't know if it was an editing error or I don't know, but it was a little bit annoying. But I mean, 800 years, language evolves, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything evolves, hopefully, unless it devolves, in which it makes itself irrelevant and probably out of existence.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, Aaron Satie, though, a great quote from TNG, the Drumhead, of course. One of my favorite quotes to come out of Star Trek for sure. And I was a little worried when they started it too. I was worried, like, who said that? And someone would say Captain Picard. And I was like, but they Judge Aaron Satie. Yes. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. I don't know why I worry. These guys know their Star Trek. It's ridiculous.
They do. I'm just going to interject right now and say that I do have a debate trophy.
Oh.
And the funny thing is, it was from grade school, so it's not that big of a deal. But you might call me a master of debate.
Ah, there you go.
Well done.
Yeah. Very nice. Well put.
Thank you.
So yeah, we've got the students facing off against each other on various debate topics, and I'm assuming what we're seeing is just very small snippets of the arguments going back and forth. But Jayden, we learn, has trouble with public speaking, with standing up and in front of people and making a point about something. He, as he says later, it makes sweat rush down his face. He is not a fan of this at all. And like at various times in my life, I've had issues with fears like that, not that exact fear, but like things that give me that same autonomic physical response. So I felt so bad for him there, and it was so well acted by him as well.
Yeah, I've got to say, like, the doctor is perfectly placed as a kind of semi self-indulgent teacher who is definitely like leaning on his passions and stuff like that. And the students are picking it up really, really well. And I feel seen to some degree. But I think that there are going to be different reactions to things that other people find quite easy. And I've always found public speaking to be quite easy. But I guess I don't really have an understanding of what that's like, not to feel like I know when something's going off the rails or going poorly, but when you make your career out of talking to a bunch of people all the time, it just becomes easier. But I think you're right. There are aspects of autonomic, kind of the no feeling that we get in any sort of instance. And I think giving people time and giving people space to do it their way, to figure out how they're going to approach something that they find difficult. I mean, I'm kind of burying the lead on what this episode's completely about in a lot of ways. But no, I think that you kind of set a student like that up for failure by making them have to do everything exactly the same. I always think about like fish, like a dolphin and a chimpanzee. One being like, okay, both of you have to swim the same and both of you have to climb the same. It's not always going to be the same thing or the same way. So I guess I felt, kind of like the teacher instinct kicking in of being like, okay, how do we scaffold for this young person? How do we get them into a better place? And I actually don't know if the doctor did a terribly good job. It's very, very good that Jaden had his classmates to help him with that.
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just apropos of nothing, I find that people who are afraid of public speaking, and I get it, I used to be that way, I would recommend take improv classes because it will raise your confidence immensely, and it's fun.
It is.
I'm just remembering from the last episode with Jaden's Klingon jokes, him standing in front of like a brick wall with a spotlight on him.
It's like watching a 6-year-old trying to tell a joke and saying the punchline in a way that doesn't make sense to anyone, so that they just stand there staring at you. It's so great.
What is this gawk doing in my blood pie? Dying. Because whatever it was so funny, guys. His delivery is so good, by the way. I've seen a little bit of Kareem Diane on social media as well, and I haven't done a deep dive, but I feel like he's a really good follow. Like, he seems really cool on social media. So yeah, the guy that plays Jaden, really good guy.
Also, those eyes. Oh my god.
Yeah,
eyes.
Apparently his real eyes too.
Real eyes.
No,
just hypnotic.
Very cool. So yeah, as we mentioned, we learned that Krog grew up in a triad house. He has 2 fathers and 1 mother. We learned this while he's hanging out with Caleb, as Caleb has reprogrammed the dots to bring them food.
Yes.
Apparently there's nothing in the rules against it. Nothing in the rules about a dog playing basketball or reprogramming dots to bring us food. So
yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
Air Bud reference.
Yep.
Yeah, I have all the timely references. I've never actually even seen Air Bud. I just know that joke from the Zeitgeist. That's weird.
Same.
Yeah, make that 3 of us.
Yeah, there we go. An Air Bud.
Shout out to the Air Bud fans.
Yeah. Way to go, I guess. So yeah, we get, like we said, these hints about what happened to the Klingons, and then we kind of get it confirmed in this news report because a ship carrying the 8 remaining houses, or members of the 8 remaining houses of the Klingon Empire, suffered a catastrophic mechanical failure and crashed, and Jaden's family may have been on board. They're bringing him into the principal's office basically to tell him this news, and that felt very real to me, like having been on conversations like that with students where some tragedy has potentially happened, or something is fundamentally going to change this young person's life. The look on the faces of Ake and Thok as they're there with this student and doing their level best to protect him from the universe, right? Like that's just the face that I see on educators all the time. And that in and of itself was heartbreaking, even putting aside the larger implications of what we learned of what has happened to the Klingons and what is happening right now. That felt so real. That was so well acted.
It really, really was, and I liked the micro expressions on Laura Thok as well, even under all that makeup. Just like ready to just step in if needed. She is going to protect this kid with everything she has. And that doesn't mean she won't be hard on him later. It's just you know, they're kin, you know, they're both Klingon. And she's also Jem'Hadar, but I really loved watching Ake and Thok and their expressions while this was going on. It wasn't over the top. It was very subtle, and that's harder to do. It is hard to do subtle, and I really just appreciated that from both of those actors.
Well, it adds more gravity to what happens later with Thok and Jaden. I think that her taking that back seat and not saying anything and saving that for later creates a higher impact. What I would say, and this is more of a production issue that I have, is I noticed that I'm pretty sure that they redub Jaden's dialogue over, and I've noticed that that's kind of it sort of throws me off a little bit. So I'm hopeful. I'm usually saying nothing but good things about, you know, the kind of the newer Star Trek sound editing and stuff like that. But this one, just because he spoke more, there were moments where it kind of almost took me out, where I'm like, like his acting is really good playing this sort of stoic, tortured character, but then kind of getting that voiceover, you don't get the same. It's almost like it's too rich, I guess. And this scene specifically, it just kind of jilted me a little bit. I don't know if you guys noticed that, or if anyone in the comments noticed that, or if I'm just being way too picky.
It's okay to be picky. I didn't notice that, and I didn't notice that. So, but that's just me.
Yeah, it didn't take me out. I didn't notice anything either. One thing I will say, and I don't know if this is part of the issue or anything, but in general, there's way more ADR work in Hollywood than I ever realized. Listening to the Delta Flyers, the podcast with Robbie Duncan McNeil and Garrett Wong talking about Voyager and now Deep Space Nine, basically any scene where they're walking in the corridor, that's all dubbed afterwards, because basically it would be, you know, they're picking up their dialogue, but they're also picking up clunk, 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 squeak, squeak, clunk as they're walking through these plywood sets, even though they're covered with carpet. But and then nowadays they're not even covered with carpet, so it's probably even more so. It's just all you get is footfalls.
Well, those funny shoes they wear too. My goodness.
Yeah.
Those
Jaden's shoes. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
They're like super goth.
Yeah, that's one thing when they go to the flashbacks too. I loved his look, because he's got like almost just like the big goth boots and the coat, and then add to that the hair with the color in it and stuff. I'm just like, oh, he's a Klingon goth, and I kind of love it.
Actually, the Klingons are just kind of goth overall.
Yeah,
I mean,
even further though.
The whole today is a good day to die. That is, how goth is that? It's just, they've always been gothy, but Jaden is a level above. He's taking it seriously.
I guess goth would be counterculture, right? So in a Klingon culture, a true goth would actually be Jaden, who's interested in healing and herbs and looking after people and staving off death rather than embracing death. So that's like what goth would be in a Klingon culture. That's kind of funny.
Oh man, that's meta. I like that. I like that.
Klingon hug dungeons. This is where they come in.
Klingon hug dungeons. Also, that is now the name of our Klingon punk band. We'll do a reversion of a renewed version of the opera of Melota.
Yes,
Excellent.
absolutely. So speaking of these flashbacks, we learn that Jaden's brother, who is a character that just like, oh my god, I love this guy. That he gets his brother, he gets Jaden in a way that the other Klingons around him don't, and just wants to protect him, understands that he doesn't want to be a warrior. And Jaden's line, "Why, brother? Why couldn't they see me as you saw me?" It's just like, oh man,
Yeah.
I love this.
He is, I was looking at the cast list because I was looking for something, I can't remember what it was, but, him out of makeup, holy, whew, he hot. Like, I mean, he's hot as a Klingon, but, oh, wow.
Nice. And oh yeah, your mind is hungry, Jaden. We should feed it. When he procures that Starfleet tech, right? This little transmitter at the trading post, which turns out to be basically an ad for Starfleet Academy with Stephen Colbert. We're recruiting after 120 years.
If you're looking for us, we're looking for you.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jaden's brother is a great kind of mentor that I hope we get to see more flashbacks with in the future to kind of help round out Jaden's character a bit more. I mean, obviously, we've kind of seen his end in this case, but I feel like there could be more to explore there in terms of Jaden's deeper essence, his character, who he is, and maybe, the type of person he wants to be, right? If he sees those, seeing things in people that others don't see, I hope that becomes something that we get out of Jaden. And I think he's, as someone who's, kind of in that kind of medical and health field, we could potentially really get that out of him quite a bit. I appreciate that. And, there are people out there who, you're going to look back on and say, like, they saw the real me, they saw the real person, they saw my true essence. And that's a sacred and very important thing, especially when they see that and they accept it. So yeah, no, this was and I mean, obviously the tragedy of it all also kind of stings.
Yeah. It's one thing Star Trek does as well as tragic endings, for sure. Oh man. But back in the present, the Aaron Sati debate event is coming up, and they want to do like a debate in front of the Academy, basically, and they have to pick a topic. And of course, the one on everybody's mind because of the recent tragedy is the Klingon diaspora. And the doctor doesn't want to do it, but Jaden ends up pushing for it and saying everyone is already talking about that. Like, why not structure that debate, right? And the doctor eventually relents. And I do love his line, "There's been a tragedy. Don't compound it with ignorance." Kind of imploring his students to do the research and really, put work into this. Don't half-ass this. Don't make this a farce, right? It needs to be impeccable if they're going to broach this topic, right?
A real ripped from the headlines statement, especially when
Yeah.
we are dealing with different tragedies and different things happening, current events and whatnot even work for that. There's just so much ignorance that can wind up clouding a person's perspective, and then that perspective gets run with, and we wind up in situations that we're currently in a lot of cases. So yeah, no, ignorance is the light that makes all the cockroaches run away.
Mm-hmm. And I do like also that there's the one student who, like, again, feels very real, right? Who's kind of spouting the talking points that are kind of conspiratorial and that kind of thing. I do like that there's that perspective as well, because that's going to sound very familiar to a lot of people watching this, and might even be things that are that echo things that are believed by people watching this. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that needs to be shown as well. And I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, to show that there are still people who will fall for all of the stuff that's being pushed at them instead of
Mm.
getting through all of the chaff and finding the wheat. And we don't do that enough. As human beings, we don't do that. We would rather believe the sensationalism of something than just the honest truth, because the honest truth is boring. We don't want to deal with that. We want a scandal. And I don't know why that hasn't died out yet in humanity, and maybe it never will, but good Lord, stop doing that.
Yeah.
There's also a desire to center one's self and to kind of put yourself in the specific spotlight, I find as well. You know, there's so many people who will try to figure out how, you know, a certain event might put them into the spotlight and stuff like that. And I think that's a lot of posturing we get from social media and stuff like that. And I think it was interesting because I would actually even say Mir did that when he shouted at that one guy to read a book, right?
Mhm.
He was in the right, but he went about it the wrong way.
Yeah. And that's common too, right? Like how
Mhm.
many times do we push people further sometimes into those camps by our understandable reaction
Yeah.
to some of this stuff? But, you know, it's not a way to win hearts and minds, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but also sometimes very justified and warranted though too. But anyway, that's a fraught thing.
Very much.
No. Well, let's talk about the wider Klingon situation now, because the Federation has found the perfect planet for the Klingons. Another piece of Federation charity that they can offer up on a silver platter to the Klingons. Fawn Alpha. As a little aside, this is something that bugs me with the 32nd century Star Trek, but they're going to keep doing it, and I just need to get over it. When someone's communicating via hologram and they have to like show that they're communicating via hologram by having them flicker and jitter and you know, glitch every so often, I'm like, oh, there's got to be a better way to do that. You know, I don't know. I know, I understand it's so like the audience goes, oh, he's communicating from far away, right? But like the hologram's got to be better than that by now. Anyway, it's just gonna always bug me, and I just have to get over it.
No, I actually agree with that, because it's just in the 32nd century, that shouldn't be happening. Look at the technology they have. Look at
Yeah.
programmable matter, for heaven's sake. There's no reason why that hologram should be flickering.
Yeah,
I would say the most fidelity we've gotten was on the Defiant way back in the day.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like it was perfect. It didn't glitch. There's nothing like that. Ironically, because it would be more expensive and harder to have it glitch than to just have a person standing on set and filming them. But like, anyway, so yeah, this new planet Fawn Alpha, they're not sure the Klingons are going to go for it. In fact, they're probably pretty sure they're not going to go for it. But Captain Ake has an old Klingon friend, Obel Wochok, has this prior relationship with Aki, and they're going to have her contact him. Can I say I absolutely love this character, and I hope
Yes!
after this episode they've like signed him on for the next, I don't know, like he's got to be in more episodes. He's so good.
He's so good. He's twice her size. Like, she's half as tall as he is.
She comes up to his mid thigh.
Yeah.
That's an exaggeration, but not by much.
He is gigantic, and I love it. And his voice. Oh, his voice. Yes, I love everything about this guy. Everything.
I like his nuance with her too. He actually kind of, I feel like, and I don't have the exact quotes or anything, but I do feel very much like the answer ultimately that they get, and we'll get to that later, is nuanced in the way he talks to Ake, and you know, oh, you're fighting again, you know, and that sort of stuff. And it's like get the hint, lady. You know, like this is what
Yeah.
needs to happen. This is how we do things, you know. But yeah, no, the chemistry between the two was quite enjoyable as well.
Mhm.
It kind of also seems like they might have had a little something going on at some point,
Oh,
if you know what I mean.
very much so, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, I think Ake would have been up for it.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I love Wellington. I do love me some gentle silver fox Klingon.
Yes. That's
Yes.
perfect.
Yes.
I
Love
already
it.
have a title written down, but I might put that one in the running as well. Gentle silver fox Klingon.
Yeah. He's wow. That guy's really cool.
I
Oh,
did.
actually, that reminds me, that was who I was looking for in the cast list
Mm.
when I stumbled upon the actor for I've already forgotten his name. I'm sorry. I'm old. Just blame it on me being old. But yeah, I was looking for that guy and I'm like, oh wait, I know that guy from this. So I actually knew him from something else.
I saw online people were talking about him, and then I never looked into it further. So I'm not sure where he's from or what he's in, but people are like, "Oh, he's in Star Trek." So I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He was actually in Warehouse 13 is how
Oh
I
yeah,
know
that was
him.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody was
So
mentioning that. Yeah.
I'm a big Warehouse 13 fan.
Nice. I have not watched, but I've
No,
heard
not
good
familiar.
things.
There are so many Star Trek people who show up on that show. You need to watch it.
Nice. So yeah, predictably, of course, the Klingons aren't going to go for it, but the hints are there, as you were saying, right? Like you're
Yeah.
fighting again, and he's like, "It's what we do. Like we fight for things, right?" And at this point, I'm kind of thinking like, "Oh, there's got to be some way to like have them conquer the planet or something." So, but we'll get there. We'll get there. They eventually get there as well.
Mhm.
We've got the oh yeah, okay. Little tiny aside thing. We see that the transmitter that Jaden got from his brother has been smashed. We'll see a little later how it got smashed, but he's in his quarters and it's all in pieces. There's a scene in the TNG episode Peak Performance where Worf is trying to build like a scale ship model, and he's like building the little pieces, and the door chime rings and he snaps like the mast.
Right.
Come in, and Riker walks in and he's like, I hope I'm not interrupting anything. Smashes it into the trash. Just finished.
Yeah.
This reminded me of that. Like him just like has like, oh, I wanted that. I don't know. That just, I love that moment. So that made me laugh. Anyway. Yeah, anyway. There was another line between Jaden and Caleb when Caleb is kind of trying to connect with him and say like, oh, let's work on this together. And Jaden's, I'm actually taking the opposite side and I don't need help. He says you regurgitate facts about the Federation, the Klingons, the Orions, but you have no idea what any of that means. And I was really, that struck me as a real like, you know, you can try and sympathize and all of this stuff with someone from a completely different background than you, who's gone through all of these experiences and stuff, but you're never going to really truly know what that means. And I mean, Caleb has been through hardships. He's had a really hard life, but he still is never going to know what it's like to be Jaden and his particular background and what he's gone through. Right. That one really spoke to me. And that's a line that I hope people are paying attention to as well, because it's a lesson like we all need to learn at times for sure.
It's actually something
Yeah.
temporally that I've done before. Speaking to the young people I talk to, and you know, I don't want to throw shade at anybody particularly, but there are cases where we as adults can say to little kids, you know, oh, I was your age. I know what it's like to be your age.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, we do, but we actually don't know what it's like to be their age in 2026.
Exactly.
I know what it's like to be 14 in 1997. Sure. Absolutely. But that is a bit of a far cry from how it is now. And so I think even in that sense, you never really fully know where another person's coming from. And I think that's, obviously this is kind of a big thing about Star Trek, but that's where empathy comes in. That's where letting a person really express where they're coming from. And, again, Caleb means well, but I think meaning well also comes down to knowing when to shut up and let the other person talk and speak for themselves. You can have all the facts, you can have all the knowledge, but if you don't have the experience, that's a big difference.
Yeah, which I guess this would be a good time to talk about the actual debate that happens on the stage, right? Where the animosity between them over this issue almost comes to blows. If Jaden were a different person than he was, it would have come to blows, right?
Yeah.
That was a hard moment. That was brutal watching that. And I'm like, oh, Caleb, you have so much to learn, buddy. Oh, that was a hard moment when he yells that you've stabbed your family in the back. And I'm like, oh man, Jaden's a big person for eventually forgiving him for that one. Like, honestly.
Well, and he's projecting his own pain too, right? I think this is the other piece of it is we all are coming from somewhere, and it's not always going to be a good place. And yeah, if you can't divorce yourself from those inner emotions, they're going to come out, and you're not going to be at your best. And I think we've seen Caleb very much not at his best in this, but also he was able to turn it around really well. And yeah, Jaden's a big guy for saying, I forgive you.
Yeah, definitely. One scene we skipped over that I definitely want to talk about, the scene between Raimi and Krog in his quarters. I love this scene. We have seen so many different sides of Darum Raimi in the last few episodes than like I was ever kind of expecting to. He's the one that you write off early as the jerk, the jock, the whatever. There's so many sides to him here, and I love this intimacy, this tenderness between the two of them as he's doing this breathing exercise, getting him to find his own inner voice. There's just so well shot. It was so well acted between the two of them. Just every moment of that as they get closer and closer, and they're working through this, and he starts taking over doing it himself, and then kind of like opens his eyes and realizes how close Darum is, and then backs off. And I was just like, every moment in that was just so well done. I love, like, I would have loved to have seen the direction they got for that scene and how they prepared for that scene, because like two young actors, but just doing an incredible job.
I agree. It's one of those things. It's like, oh, Darum is now, he's no longer on my crap list. He he was in the first couple of episodes, but episode 3 was a turning point for him, and I was actually really glad that it happened that early, because I didn't want to spend the entire series rolling my eyes at him. And that moment where they're really close, and then all of a sudden Jaden pulls back and Darum wraps his arm around his back and says, no. I'm just like, and kiss. But that didn't happen.
That's what my wife said at the time. She's like, and kiss.
Yes. Yeah, that's me too, Nikki. I got you.
Yeah.
I would say, like, we could go in that direction.
Absolutely.
But also I think there's something about that scene that sort of, I don't know, it reveals a level of vulnerability on the part of Raimi. And a level of, he's got a very deep nurturing side. I mean, there is that point where, like in a lot of TV shows, that is the point where the kiss might happen. But I think for them, and I don't know what the future holds for the two of them, but I don't know, I felt more of a very close kind of vulnerability, more so than anything there. And it almost kind of made the scene a little better that's how it ended instead. Because it kind of builds, it breaks down the toxicity of masculinity, because actually the real masculinity is a form of nurturing, right? You should be able to nurture. You should be able to be caring and compassionate and soft by teaching a person how to manage and maintain strength.
Mhm.
And I think that's what I liked about that scene was all of the walls were down, all of them for Raimi when he came in to help his friend. And it really, it was touching.
Yeah. I should be used to this by now as well, that like in the first few episodes they have somebody acting like a complete jerk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is the Liam Shaw. I'm gonna love this character in a few episodes. Right?
I think we can all go by the Liam Shaw example from this point forward. It's like, is this a Liam Shaw moment? I think it is.
No, they Liam Shaw'd that character.
Yep. Yeah, it's
and I still hope he's only Star Trek dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same. Because honestly, I really I want Liam back in any way I can get him. There also, and I know that we'll talk about this scene later, but when Jaden goes back to the debate stage, Darum's in the audience and he's doing that pressing of the fists together and showing him, just remember. And he's got this look on his face like, you can do this.
Yeah.
And it's just, I love seeing men do stuff like that.
I think out of like all of this, that was the moment that I loved the most, was that, because that's what Jaden needed in that moment. And I just love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, oops. Dave, yes. So that's in the last episode. I think he said his parents set him up with this guy, but he ruined it by sleeping with his sisters or something. So
both of his sisters, yeah.
Yeah, and their cousin, apparently. Yeah. And Wellington, I really like this this comment here. As a queer person, I need to say this: 2 gay men can simply be very close friends. We don't need this portrayal. I don't need the kiss. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I knew that they weren't going to kiss.
Oh yeah, no, and I wasn't expecting them to in this scene either necessarily. But I feel like it would have been an easy choice for the writer or the director to make in that moment too. But I think it would have been the wrong one, honestly.
Yeah.
I agree.
I love it as it stands. I
think that isn't necessary in this show, really. I mean, if it happens sometime down the line, I'm not going to be angry about it or anything like that. But if I want to watch 2 guys getting it on, I'm going to go to Heated Rivalry. Okay. That's where I get my fix. We're fine. My husband, he knows me.
Yeah, Dave got there too. Yeah.
It's Dave's fault that we're watching Heated Rivalry, I'll have you know.
Interesting. I have not checked it out yet, but
that's great.
Maybe someday.
One other production value thing I do have to say did irk me a little bit was when they were first talking about what they were going to debate and stuff like that, and then all the way to this last moment when Jaden comes back, is we are back into full JJ lens flare territory and shaky handheld cameras for discussions. I'm sorry, but I got a little motion sick. I was like, guys, just hold the camera steady, get a stand. And that many lens flares, I was a little like, okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yep. There's another lens flare. I feel like that last scene, though, when Jaden is standing in front of the podium and the light is at his back and it's just this silhouette he's casting, that was awesome. But by that point, there had been so many others, it kind of took away from it, because had that have been the only piece, this like darkened figure staring forward about to basically state the case for his people, that had a lot of gravitas, as we would say. But yeah, maybe just a little overdone on the production value there.
Yeah, I hate to say it because I'm one of the people that tends not to be too critical of that kind of stuff, but it's getting a little over the top sometimes. And there was a comment I saw online that I actually really like. It was like, it was a really good episode. It's really a shame that they made the cameraman ride a unicycle the whole time.
Yeah. The cameraman is riding a unicycle. Exactly.
I wish I knew who said that, because it was brilliant. I should have like screen capped that so I could credit it, but that was good. That was funny. Yeah, it gets a little bit, I'd be like, oh, I'm getting motion sickness watching two people talk. Like that shouldn't be. I get psychologically why that effect is used, but like it doesn't have to. You don't have
Less is
the
more.
performances carry it. Like you don't need to do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's my only other like major
unicycles.
quibble. That's my only other like major quibble. I really love the fact that this was a dialogue character driven episode. I do appreciate the fact that they aren't just going into like the, you know, every scene has to be action packed and crazy and stuff like that. There was a lot of there was a lot of high stakes talking, and that's what brought me into Star Trek in the beginning, way back in the day, right? So this definitely I feel like this is the writers really listening to what we've been asking for a pretty long time. And it's not to say that it hasn't happened in recent iterations and stuff, but I just feel like this one, there was a lot of intentionality to it. And they carried a very strong story with debate and discussion, which is such a hallmark of the Federation. And then one other piece that I want to talk about, but I'll let us kind of move forward in time here.
All right. Well, the big thing here is where this story started me on an emotional roller coaster, because the flashback bit we get for the last little part is Jaden's father is taking him on their ritual hunt to finally make him a warrior, and they spot the bird of prey, and he gives them the weapon and says, you know, take your shot. And Jaden lines up the shot, but then won't take it, because like at this point his brother has died. He says, honor your brother, take the kill. And he lowers the weapon and says, I am honoring my brother. This is how basically my brother said I'm not a warrior and that's not my path. I am honoring him by doing this. And his father screams, grabs the weapon from him, lines up the shot, misses, screams again, and you're interpreting this a certain way watching it, the way Jaden is interpreting it as well. This is where his device gets smashed as well. And then very shortly after, the family takes off in the ship and leaves him on the planet. And I'm like devastated. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could happen to this kid. This is awful. And that's the feeling you're left with as you go into this debate with him and Caleb, and that all happens. I guess if there's anything you guys want to say about that and talk about that scene, and then we'll talk about where they completely flipped it on its head and like the thing that made me absolutely love this episode. Anyway.
Yeah, I would just say that until they flipped it on its head, I was a little like, oh, really? That makes Dad pretty unredeemable. And then, yeah, let's yeah.
Yeah, my first knee-jerk reaction was, what the F? And my second reaction, which followed about 2 seconds later, was like, no, there's a reason for this. There's a reason they're doing this, and I just don't know what it is yet.
Mm-hmm. We were all watching it as humans. We didn't put our Klingon glasses on, right?
Yeah, dang it. I lost my Klingon glasses.
But yeah, so the scene after the blow up between Caleb and Jaden on stage, and then in Jaden's quarters, Laura Thok visits him, and Jaden talks about this experience and what happened with his father. And I love this because this is the moment where, before she says anything, that I'm like, oh, something else happened there, because the shot is on Laura's face and she kind of just looks down and is like, she's got a look on her face like, oh, I see. And she explains that, like, you know, when Klingons get mad and angry and enraged, they don't miss. That's not how Klingons work. Like, that sharpens them and hones their skills, and they love that feeling. That's not why he missed. He missed to cede victory to you in the hunt. And then leaving him was the only way that they could allow him to pursue his dreams, basically, and let him go and do what he wants to do. I love that. That was so good. I was just like, this is brilliant. The writers are writing the Klingons as Klingons, you know, like, I love that. they're an alien race. Of course they're not going to think the way humans do. And I think we forget that because we've had 60 years with the Klingons. They're just Klingons. Like, no, they have a completely different way of thinking, and I love that.
Yeah, and the whole thing kind of centers around, without self-definition, are Klingons Klingons?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true of any race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being that I'm kind of living in a world where I do actually experience a lot of other non-Western cultures, I've had to understand and kind of come to terms and maybe even to grips with certain nuances and stuff that I do that could be construed as offensive or off-putting or just kind of generally uncouth. And then also kind of seeing things from that perspective as well. It's very eye-opening to be able to start seeing things from outside of your own fishbowl, I guess you could say. And that little statement, that little conversation that Thoth has later, instead of having it at the start, instead of her speaking up, allowing all of this to happen first, is the true teachable moment, right? She couldn't have told him that earlier. He needed to struggle with it. He needed to kind of drag himself through this scenario to get to that point of realization. And I think we as the viewers also needed all of that to happen. And I like the fact that they did go completely against what would be conventionally understood. And I think this is actually probably one of the most self-aware moments in Star Trek in a very, very long time, that they are truly looking at things from the perspective that, you know what, the Federation actually doesn't know everything. The Federation doesn't actually have the answers to every question, and their way isn't always the right way. I feel like that might have been kind of toyed with in the start of Discovery, but it didn't quite land. This time I feel like it really landed with this episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, as Matthew points out here too, right? Like this feels like a fulfillment of the very opening moments of Star Trek Discovery. Right?
Absolutely.
Remain Klingon.
Absolutely.
Is the battle cry, and that's what the Klingons are still screaming, and the Federation needs to listen. I love that. This really reminded me as well. You talk about experiencing and coexisting with other cultures, like living overseas in Korea for a couple years. It took me a while to understand that, like, from the Western point of view, the goal is to be right, to be correct. And from the Korean point of view, on a very basic level, it's more to save face, to like, preserve that dignity than anything else. And I feel like that's a lot of what we get in this as well. That's very similar kind of idea with the Klingons, and the ultimate solution that Jaden proposes, which is that the Klingons need to fight for Fawn Alpha. They can't just be given it. They have to fight for it. And like, some people have made the point online that it's a sham fight. So like, how is that good enough? It's not a real fight and stuff. But it's enough that the Federation is acknowledging the Klingon point of view and acknowledging what it takes for them to accept this, right? Like, even just that little tiny movement of the needle, like, yeah, no, they didn't have to blow up 10 starships and kill thousands of people to get this planet. They had to be acknowledged that your way of life is acceptable and proper for Klingons, and this is how you do things. And even if it's just symbolic, like, that's enough. And I'm sure there's some Klingon hardliners out there that would make those arguments that blah blah blah, but like, it's up to the commanders of the ships and this general guy that, like, they can tell a good story about this. That's Klingon tradition as well. Kor, how many stories did he tell that he embellished, that he killed hundreds of men and blah 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 and ate the heart of his enemy in front of them? And there will be songs sung of this day, and they will not be factually accurate as to what happened, but that's okay. I love it. I think it's brilliant.
That's what's necessary. And I think, if you want to get into like, it was a ceremonial conquest. I mean, I don't know, like Dan, you're in my country has a ceremonial monarch, and we've had one for a real long time.
Yep.
They don't matter. They don't apply to our governmental system really whatsoever, but we call things crown land, and they're
Yep.
technically our head of state, and all of this ceremonial gobbledygook that really, from an outsider's perspective, is kind of dumb. So,
Yeah.
what is normal, what is good, for the Klingons to have to take over this planet, quote unquote, you're absolutely right. Um, it reminds me of like the Garrick quote of like, so everything you said to me was true, well, even the lies, especially the lies, like it doesn't, I mean, truth doesn't really factor into this. I think the Klingons are perfectly aware that they're going extinct and they're in a lot of trouble and they need a lot of help, but they need to go about it in the way that isn't going to make them humiliated. They still deserve a certain level of dignity, and this helps them, as you were saying, save face, save that dignity. And no one got hurt, so it's all good. Like, what's the problem? And it was cool. I loved that scene, man.
Yeah. Oh, the Klingon symphony coming back. Oh my God. It's so beautiful.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh,
been a part of Star Trek since 1979.
Absolutely.
Also, who caught the USS Riker?
I did. It's written in my notes.
Again, I wish I'd screen capped it to know who said this comment, but because it's a typical 32nd century ship with detached nacelles, they're like, does it reconnect to the nacelles by flipping over the nacelles instead of that was pretty good.
So good.
So yeah, the Klingon houses, they finally have a new home thanks to Jada and Krog, who is acknowledged as a warrior, presented the weapon, and now he finally gets to eat that warrior stew, and reports that it's spicy. So that was great.
I really loved the scene where basically the bow just bamfs into isn't it Charlie who's got it? Or is it?
Oh, it's the Obel.
Obel.
Yeah.
It just kind of bamfs into his hand in perfection, just like he's doing a magic trick.
Yeah.
I love that. For some reason, that just really tickled me.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, the 32nd century transporters are that good. The holograms got to catch up. Come on. Sorry, I'll let it go.
No, don't let it go. Let's argue about it until the end of time.
Yeah.
But that Starfleet Academy ad transmitter, Caleb fixes it with some help from Darren Ramey, who decided not to be a jerk, apparently, according to him. It was a nice little makeup scene. I liked the kind of recurring thing throughout the episode where he said, Caleb is not my brother. And then at the end, he reveals to him that he thought to get closer to Caleb, to think of him as a brother, he had to let his real brother grow, and that there wasn't room in his heart for both. But he realizes that's not the case now. That was really touching. That was really well written there as well.
Yeah. We're just going back to the battle scene. Bemasa Berwin 55 brings up an extremely good point again, that this is the kind of the spiritual successor to the Vulcan Hello. Michael was right 100%. It just took a couple thousand years to figure it out.
There we go. Yeah, absolutely. It really has come full circle with that. I love that. That's a really good point. And that's Matthew, who actually also lives in Grand Prairie.
Oh, well, that's
small
awesome.
World.
Yeah, very small world.
Small town.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, so this, I think, I guess I'll give my final thoughts and a rating here, and that for everyone in the comments, please share your ratings for this episode as well. Absolutely my favorite episode up to this point in the series. I think this is where the promise of this series starts to be fulfilled, I think. up to this point, we've had, you know, the high octane series premiere. We've had the quiet diplomatic episode with some teenage angst thrown in. We've had the prank war, kind of like, okay, this one, which I loved. Like, I'm not saying I really enjoyed the prank war episode. That was great. But this episode felt very in this, like, a spiritual successor to what Star Trek is about, and written with a maturity that Barry, I think you had a good point, is maybe not been as prevalent more recently. I feel like they leveled up with this one as far as cultural sensitivity and acknowledging that this is a real universe with real people in it, in a way that sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes does, but often doesn't. This one just like knocked it out of the park on that score. So I'm going to give it one fleet of Klingon starships, which apparently a bunch of them are from Star Trek Online, and a bunch of them are Klingon freighters from Deep Space Nine that started life as Cardassian freighters in Deep Space Nine, but are still going strong after 800 years. So, yeah.
Nice.
So Brandi, why don't you give your final thoughts and rating for VOX in Excelso?
Yeah, this was an exceptional episode of Star Trek overall, and it echoes back to previously epic episodes like the Drumhead, etc., but does its own thing at the same time, and that's not an easy thing to do. Everybody was on point. All the performances were fantastic. I loved pretty much everything about this episode. I can't really think of anything that really made me go, ooh. There might have been something that made me go, huh, but nothing that made me go, ooh. So it's just, I can't wait to see what else they do this season. It's really shaping up to be one of the best Star Treks I've seen. and I will give it one hungover Ake.
Not hungover, she said, which, as somebody else commented up above, I think that meant she's still drunk. I don't
Yeah. Okay, one still drunk. Okay, even better.
Yeah, I think this, you both have said it really well, and I don't want to kind of do too much repeating, but I would just say that this episode was very self-aware, which was something that I always really appreciated about a lot of the Lower Decks episodes. This episode was very inclusive, like we've seen in Discovery and Strange New Worlds, and this was a very welcome shift back to I guess we could say, like, there's two types of sci-fi you like. There's the sci-fi that moves really fast and explodes and goes boom really, really fast. And then there's the sci-fi that, you know, you can get up and, you know, go take a walk and come back and the conversation's still going, right? It's very dialogue heavy. And this one leans in that direction. It's something that I think we've been itching to see. And yeah, they definitely delivered. So I'm not going to give it a rating. I'm just going to say Starfleet Academy, advance.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I really, really like this one, but more to come, I think. I feel like this is like a little preview of like what this show can do. It can do the like little things in the lives of the cadets, but it can also do the like, these are the big game-changing things that are happening in this universe right now. And you know, putting it at the center of stuff with Earth and Starfleet Academy, and we can stick our fingers in all those things and discover them, I guess. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. This will, of course, be available as a podcast in the next couple of days. And if you are also listening to the Positively Trek podcast, Brandi and I just put out our summary of the January comics that came out this month. That just went out this morning. So a couple quick Positively Trek episodes right in a row here. It's sometimes they pile up at the end of the month like that, I guess. But Brandi, you've got Shield Podulation still on the go as well.
Yes, we love doing this show. We're having a great time, and we finally got our first TOS episode today.
Oh my God! Finally.
Yeah, it's season 3.
Oh no!
And it's Spectre of the Gun. It has been a long time since I've seen that one. So
Fun to talk about anyway.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. So yeah, that'll be out later today. For those of you who are listening after the fact, today is January 31st as we are recording this. So if it's, if you want, you can still go listen to it. It'll be fun. I promise. We always have a great time doing that.
Awesome. It's so much fun to listen to. You guys are great.
Thanks. We just have a great time. He's got really good insight into things because, like, I'm the huge Trek head and he is the sort of more casual viewer, and now I'm dragging him into my world, kicking and screaming. Not really. He's not kicking and screaming, but we have a great time.
Awesome. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot of fun to listen to. I love both of your perspectives for sure from those different points of view. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you again all so much for joining us. We will see you next week for I don't know if we're allowed to reveal episode title names.
Let's not.
Yeah, I did that last week and I'm like, oh, I think the embargo might be Mondays for that. So we'll see you next week for Starfleet Academy episode 5. Title's probably already revealed somewhere online. You can find it. See you all then. Live long and prosper and stay positive. And oops, I have to hit the